2026. I'm John Fisher, and we have a lot to talk about. The month of August is about to end. Training camp is just a couple weeks away. That means actual, real deal, meaningful NHL ice hockey is coming up much sooner rather than later. And this week, business definitely picked up, mostly on the business side of things for the New Jersey Devils. But there's been some NHL news, some league-related news, well, news around the league, I should say, that definitely every fan, especially Devils fans, should pay attention to. So we're going to go through and transition into this presentation for today's overtime. So we just not went through the introduction. Again, John Fisher, thank you, the people who matter, for watching. Thank my sunshine and everyone else out there for paying attention. Continue to like, subscribe, tell people, hate on it, like it, don't like it, do what you want with it. As long as you're paying attention, I appreciate you. Nevertheless, we are going to be focusing first on theme nights and giveaways. The New Jersey Devils announced theme nights and giveaways for this season in the run-up to announcing, and now you can, buy single game tickets for this upcoming season for the New Jersey Devils. So that's something they've traditionally done, and I have plenty to say about that as a longtime season ticket holder and somebody who used to write about this stuff pretty much at the end of every August or the start of September for most seasons back at All About the Jersey. The NHL also announced nationally televised games, and the Devils are going to be on national television quite a few times, so we're going to touch on that. And then the two big news around the league, the Cale Makar extension, which was announced a couple hours ago. It's massive. It's humongous. It's colossal. And there is a Quinn Hughes component to this. So I'm going to touch on that. And then lastly, and more relevant to the Devils, possibly to the Devils' interests, Connor Hellebuyck. He wants out of Winnipeg. For real. Should the Devils want him? I ask and answer that question on this version of the overtime. So let's jump right into the theme nights and the giveaways. So earlier this week on X, the Everything app, the New Jersey Devils announced their theme night. They claim it came to play with 16 theme nights. I'm lumping in the cultural celebrations into their theme nights. They're one and the same. Well, I'll touch on why that's both a good and a bad thing in a moment. I'm counting 7 giveaways here. Technically, it's 8. At the very bottom in this small text, there is a Ring of Honor night that's yet to be announced in terms of who's going to do it, when it's going to be, who the opponent is, but it's been confirmed that everyone's going to get a pin from that game, so that's a giveaway. I'm counting that as a giveaway. Giving away a Hockey Fights Cancer placard, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great gesture. I wouldn't call it a giveaway in a traditional sense, like it's not really like a gift or like a souvenir, something memorabilia. It's a piece of paper where you can write whom you would like to see fighting cancer successfully. It's a good gesture, but I don't really consider it in the same thing as a giveaway. And that kind of speaks to the larger point of this year's announcements. It's pretty underwhelming. You've got 5 cultural celebrations here. They're fairly traditional with respect to what the Devils have done in the past. Their theme nights have been also traditional from the past. The only thing that's really creative here is the K-pop night that's sticking out like a sore thumb against Anaheim in October. And the giveaways they did announce, and we've got that on the next slide here. So they did provide some pictures of what this looks like. So this is the light-up stick everyone's going to get at the home opener. Nice. It's a light-up stick. That's something. The hat, I do like the little stars here. For Military Appreciation Night, the Devils have done that consistently with apparel, whether it's a hat, whether it's a beanie. Trying to remember if they did socks one year. I think that may have been a different theme night, but it's a nice looking hat. The butter bench, it's a butter dish in the form of a hockey bench, and it has the Devils logo on it. It says New Jersey Devils, and even, look, there's even a little handle hockey stick. It's cute. It's creative. It's something different. I hope it's plastic. If it's glass, that's going to be a real problem for a lot of fans. But plastic, hey, good. It's something different. Down here is a bag tag featuring Arseny Gritsyuk. And the reason why bag tags are done here is because they've somewhat become popular among the kids. You hang them on your backpacks, you hang them on your other bags, other things you're carrying, laptop bags, computer bags, purses, things of that nature. So something like this can also be useful if you have a big key ring. So you get to have one with the RWJ Barnabas Health logo, the Devils logo, and Arseny Gritsyuk smiling into your very soul. Speaking of staring into your soul, we've got the New Jersey Devil NJ Nightlight. And again, this is creative. They've never done a nightlight before. Nightlights are useful, especially for the younger set. It's definitely a creative idea. So credit to the Devils marketing staff for sourcing that and making that a reality. And down here is the Luke Hughes bobblehead. They've announced that it's Luke Hughes. They do not have a picture of it. My guess is because it's going to be in the third jersey. They have yet to announce what that will be. Blame Fanatics, blame the Devils, blame somebody, blame whom you want, but they have not announced this third jersey just yet. No clue as far as what it could possibly look like. I know Jake Allen came out with a set of hockey helmets that Anthony Corona pointed out that could hint at the third jersey, but who's to say? We'll see what it looks like. Anyway, my initial thoughts when I saw the theme nights and the giveaways was being underwhelming. Now, to check myself, I looked at past theme nights that I used to write about, and I counted them up and counted up the number of giveaways. And in terms of quantity, this season's amount is about the same of what the Devils have been doing for the better part of the last decade. Last year, they announced 25 different theme nights. However, 16 of those were pretty much like smaller groups that they just mentioned in passing, like it's Filipino Heritage Night. Cool. Did they do anything for that? No, but they mentioned it on the page and they claimed it. Just like a college trying to claim a national championship they may or may not have won. They claimed it. I don't claim it. I'm calling it a smaller group in that sense. It was 9 more traditional theme nights where there was big graphics on the ice. There was something that you could tell when you went to the game that something was happening. The smaller groups, not as much. And I'm going to touch on why that's a bit of a larger issue in a moment. Previous seasons, you had 20 and 24, 25. And then before that, it was pretty close to around 16. 17 one year, 15 another. 2019-20 only had 12, and I don't think they got through all 12. 19 in 2018-19. And the number of giveaways fluctuated between 5 and 9 in this sample set. So the quantity of what they have announced is actually pretty consistent. So no, it's not a case that HSBE is suddenly being cheap and they're suddenly deciding to hold back on things. I mean, let's just go back here. They're giving you a butter bench. They're giving you a bag tag. They're giving you a nightlight. Those are 3 things right there that they traditionally have not ever done before. So credit to them. They're coming up with ideas and they're putting some of them into place. And again, the number of theme nights is consistent with about what they've done in the past. So here's the problem. There's a lot of things missing on this theme night page. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm going to let you, the people who matter, look at this for a couple seconds and ask yourself, what's missing? What could be missing? What is missing on the theme night side of this? And what's missing on the cultural celebration side of things? I want you to think a bit. Okay, I've let you thought about it for a little bit. I'm going to jump ahead and I'm going to spoil my big thing that I noticed right away. No Kids Day. No Kids Nights. Yes, I know technically you have Youth Hockey Day and you have Youth Foundation Night, and they're going to, honor the high school captains all throughout the state on the Thanksgiving week kickoff, which is, I guess, Thanksgiving game. Sure, credit to that. It's Black Friday, I believe. Or no, not Black Friday. I don't know what the color of the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Eve. The point is that, yes, they're doing some things with the younger set, but nothing on Saturday afternoons or Sunday afternoons or even Sunday evenings or Saturday evenings on the schedule. No Kids Day whatsoever. And that's a big loss considering a lot of families showed up with their kids on that day. It's always amazing / astonishing to see what the kids draw of the players. How do you not have a Kids Day? I really don't get it. Another thing I noticed, there's only one quote-unquote non-traditional theme, and that's the K-pop night. I'm going to be real with you. I'm not sure what that is going to entail. I will say the Prudential Center has hosted a lot of K-pop acts that before they become big or maybe kind of stayed in their own K-pop scene, so to speak, but they sell out. Like they have big shows for acts directly from Korea. And so there's definitely an interest. Credit to the Devils for finally realizing this maybe years after they should have. But no Star Wars, no Marvel, no WWE, no video games, nothing that is quote unquote non-traditional, like just a theme, just to have a theme to, spice things up. With a 42 game home schedule, you need some nights that are just going to be a bit off the wall and just say, hey, we're just going to We're going to do superheroes. Let's put NJ in a superhero costume. Let's have superhero references throughout the game. Let's have that whoosh sound every time the Devils score a goal or something. Something different, just to break up the monotony of a 42-game season at the Rock. And I'm going to be real. I'm a longtime season ticket holder. Clearly, I'm very passionate. I'm streaming about hockey after writing about it for 19 years. Almost 19 years, I should clarify. I don't need a lot, but I need something to help remember, like, oh, this game was the theme. This game had this thing happening. This game had other people show up. I'm not a Star Wars guy at all, but people showed up in cosplay and did things at that Star Wars night. The Marvel night, you have a big Marvel movie coming out at the end of this year. Seems like a big missed opportunity not to do that. I understand WWE. There may be a beef with AEW because AEW, I think, still runs the Prudential Center. Fine. Get the second tier promotion in there. Have wrestling night. The point is that you could have done some different themes just to spice up parts of the season, and instead you're just doing the K-pop night. So that's another thing that's missing. I don't understand why Ring of Honor is to be determined. I mean, is it who you're going to honor? Because honestly, you're going to take time. You need the time to get alumni there. You need time for people to prepare. If you're going to do Ring of Honor, you're going to have time before puck drop, meaning you got to make sure that it's not a nationally televised game. And if it is, you got to make special arrangements for the pregame to go longer because you're going to do a Ring of Honor session where you're going to honor the player properly. You're going to bring out his teammates. You're going to show highlights. You're going to have people do video interview segments to explain why this player is valuable, why this player is important to the franchise. I have guesses as to who the Ring of Honor could be. It could very well be the late Claude Lemieux. That would be very appropriate. Maybe sad just because of how he passed away and the fact that it's very recent. It could be Lou Lamoriello, since he is out of hockey, I think, almost entirely. I don't think he's really doing anything with the Islanders. It could be a bunch of different players that you and I could probably discuss for hours in terms of who deserves their space in the honor. Doing a Ring of Honor is a great idea. I just don't understand why in the world it's to be determined. Like, what do you have left to determine at this point of the season? You've had months to figure this out. Now, going back to the giveaways. Creativity, I've highlighted the creativity. I'm giving them their credit. Butterbench is creative. Nightlight is creative. The bag tag is cute, even if Gritsuk is staring into my soul. The light up thing is cool. Even the military appreciation hat, as much as they've done a lot of those in the past, the stars inside the logo look cool. Great. Where are the stars? Where are your stars, Devils marketing team? You have Jack Hughes, the big deal, the American hockey hero. Many people, millions of people even, only know him as the guy who scored the gold medal goal in Milan earlier this year. Yes, I understand IOC restrictions, IIHF restrictions, and I understand it was way back in February. But people want to see Jack Hughes. People pay money to see Jack Hughes. How about some giveaways involving Jack Hughes? How about Nico Hischier, captain of the team? Devils were not afraid to do that multiple times in the past. I mean, people own a Top Gun themed Nico Hischier for some reason. I mean, but he's Nico Hischier. He's the captain. He's even gorgeous, according to some people. The fact of the matter is, he's a star. People want to see the stars. You're not marketing your stars here. I don't get it. It's a missed opportunity. Yes, I know you can't have Jack Hughes in the USA uniform or reference Milan explicitly, but you can make a figure or a picture or a painting or some sort of poster where he's doing the, he's holding up a flag or something, in honor of something. There are ways to get around this to show that you're honoring the player and also giving the fans, another token to remember him by because he is a special player. I mean, no disrespect to Gritsuk, no disrespect to Luke Hughes, but where are the stars in the giveaway? It's a missed opportunity yet again by the Devils. And speaking of missed opportunities, the cultural celebrations. Okay, going back here. These 5 here, well, let me rephrase this. These 4 here, they have done in the past. They've done Jewish Community Night before. They've done Pride Night. Credit to them for continuing to do it, despite the fact it hasn't drawn very well over the years. And I've done the research. It really hasn't. It's a bit sad. Not going to get into it. Black History Celebration. Hecho in Jersey, I guess, is going to be their Hispanic theme night. Cool. Great. And Newark Celebration, I'm still not sure what that is. Is that going to be a surrogate Portuguese night? Is that going to be a surrogate other communities that are big in Newark night, or is it just celebrating Newark in general? Who's to say? It'd be really cool if the Devils announced something that explained this, and maybe they did explain it somewhere, but the fact that they didn't make it clear up front just has everyone scratching their head. But my dude, I'm 43 years old. I grew up in Edison, New Jersey. I live in northern New Jersey. How do you not have any celebrations for any of the following communities that I'm about to mention? Where are the Italians, the Irish, the Polish? Take your pick of, the Filipino, the Chinese, the Korean, the Egyptian, the Indian. Sonny Mehta is the general manager of the Devils. You're not doing something here with anything, even a general Asian and Pacific Islander thing that the Devils did do in the past. I mean, it's surprising that, once again, I want to give this marketing department a shake here and say, guys, girls, who do you think lives in New Jersey here? Who do you think you're marketing to? I understand that with culture and ethnic, conclaves, there has to be a level of sensitivity involved. But I will be the first to tell you that not every group is gonna, get hyped the same way other groups are. It's not 1-to-1. I get it. You have to do a little work here, but that's my point. Marketing department, do some work. Find out who lives in your state. Find out who you're marketing to, because the whole point of a theme night and giveaways, for that matter, is that there are reasons for people to come to a hockey game. Yes, I know in a perfect world they should come to hockey games because hockey is a great sport. The New Jersey Devils is the best team in the area because they're the only team in New Jersey. And guys like Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Luke Hughes, Dougie Hamilton, Timo Meier, as I discussed at length at the last stream, these are guys that are worth paying your money to see. Jesper Bratt, I almost forgot about Jesper Bratt. These are guys that, in a perfect world, you would say hockey sells itself. Well, that's true, but we don't live in a perfect world. We live in a world where even the New York Yankees and the New York Giants have to do theme nights and giveaways. Yes, even the Giants, the institutional sport of choice of this area, they have to do work to convince people to come to football games. Granted, the Giants not being very good helps contribute to that cause, and the cost of these games certainly does. So, but you got to give people a reason to get excited and, again, give something for people to look forward to and maybe say, hey, maybe I want to go to this night because they're going to honor, my friend. I can convince my friend to come because he's big into being, Irish, and therefore he wants to go to an Irish community night. Or, hey, this theme night really appeals to my friend over here. They're now willing to buy a ticket. That's the whole point of this. But Devils, you got to come up with theme nights and giveaways and cultural celebrations and all this stuff that actually speaks to the people of New Jersey and actually put in some work beyond just listing it out and hoping a fan like myself does the hard legwork for you. So, once again, the cultural celebrations are missing out. And here's a sub point I want to make here. So, last season, they listed smaller groups. So, the reason why these were small, unnotable efforts is because a lot of times a group of people, like a community, they'll buy group tickets, and I guess they'll buy enough of them to say, hey, Devils, we want to have a picture on the ice, and we want to, have this happening. We want to get a shout out on the board, and that's all fine. If you pay your money for that type of stuff as a group, and the Devils are offering it, great, go for it. But you can't claim it's Filipino Heritage Night. I'll use that as an example because I magically stepped into one. Nobody knew about it. Nobody but the group really knew about it. You just show up and go, oh, the EJ Seabug and Manny Biones for the national team are here with their World Championship bronze medals from Division 3B. And they're going to take a picture on the ice with all these other people that showed up with the group. I mean, cool. I mean, you can't do that for the whole arena, obviously, but nobody knew about this. And that's money left on the table of people who could have come. Again, so letting smaller groups and trying to take claim to say, oh, we appeal to this group and that group and, they're honoring this and that. Okay, great. But with small efforts, very few people know about it. And then it almost comes across as insensitive because you're not even trying to put it out there. I get that you can't have every night be a theme night or a cultural celebration. I personally think you should do as many as you could. But, if you're just going to toss it to the smaller groups and claim a victory there, you're trying to have your cake and eat it too. You're not trying to put in the work in it for the whole arena experience for everybody to get hyped for it and sell it as such like you did in the tweet and presumably during the season. But kicking it to a smaller group and claiming responsibility or claiming credit to say, hey, look, we appealed to all these different groups. We tried. You really didn't. And I've seen it firsthand. And this gets to a last point, and this is something Anthony Corona has talked about. It's what people who matter have told me all about. And I'm starting to agree with this. The game presentation as a whole at the Devils game really is starting to get concerning. It's pretty, for lack of a better word, bland. A lot of stuff that they do are repeats of things they've done in the past. I get that for traditional purposes. Yes, you need to have Ric Flair wooing a lot. Great, cool. Never get rid of Flair. That whole segment is hype. But there's no effort to try something new or try a different graphic. Or if you're going to do this cultural celebration, maybe make all the songs relevant to it, or have somebody speak to it, or have something like a warm-up jersey representing it. Oh yeah, that's right. The NHL killed that because the Rangers didn't want to wear Pride jerseys. Never mind. The point is that presentation as a whole at the Devils game, outside of the actual game itself, it's not what it used to be. And that definitely ties into these theme nights and these, not, feeling underwhelming. You're not trying new themes. You're not trying very many new themes, I should say. The cultural celebrations, it's stunning to me that you're in New Jersey and you have nothing involving an Asian group. I literally went on X under this tweet to get the picture here, and at 3 different people, multiple different people started complaining, where's Filipino night? It's like, guys, money on the table. You're leaving it on the table here, guys. Stop leaving money on the table, Devils. And again, doing something different at least shows that you're trying. It's feeling like it's a very Fitzgeraldian process here, to turn a phrase of the former general manager of the New Jersey Devils. So, marketing team, again, I'll give you credit. Some of the giveaway ideas are neat. Some of the themes coming back, there's not something wrong with them, but you could have done a lot more. Bring in the kids. Highlight some other cultures. Do some other non-traditional themes just to break things up. Have a superhero night. Have a cowboy night. A ninja night. Something. Just something to break things up, because over a 42-game home schedule, you're going to have to do something different. So that's what was missing. That's my spiel. That's my rant. But let's talk about something a little more positive. Let's talk about national television. The Devils are once again going to be on national television quite a lot for this coming season. They're going to have 12 games on national television. Now, they had 13 in each of the last 2 seasons. Still, 12 games is still really good, considering the fact that the Devils missed the playoffs twice out of the last 3 seasons. And they've been more of an effort to watch than otherwise. In terms of the breakdown, it's interesting. So they're going to have 2 games on ESPN proper. One at Detroit as part of the Frozen Frenzy on October 13th. That's the night where everybody's playing. And March 4th against Detroit. This is interesting because the other game against Detroit is also on national television. I understand Detroit's an original 6 team. They have a longtime fan base, but Detroit's kind of in a tough spot right now. They don't have a general manager. Dylan Larkin may not be there. I mean, there are players I like on Detroit. I think, Detroit with some work won't have to be really bad for a while, but kind of interesting that national television is saying, yeah, we want Devils Red Wings. We got to lock up those games. More importantly for TNT and more interesting for the Devils is that they locked up the Minnesota games. You have to go to TNT for that. TNT knows drama. There could very well be drama because those games are in between February 28th and March 31st is the NHL trade deadline. Who's to say if the Devils in the Wild will have a trade made before then or in between those games? We shall see. We'll talk about that in a moment. April 4th versus Florida, also on TNT. Now, the most reviled part of the national television broadcast is ESPN Plus / Disney Plus / Hulu. Yes, I get it. Subscriptions are a pain. It's like going back to the old cable days, but somehow more complicated and more expensive. But this is the way of broadcasting going. People are streaming everything. Now you're streaming here. 6 games are on this streaming apps. The home opener, Connor McDavid coming to Newark. That's on streaming. Macklin Celebrini also on streaming. Toronto is streaming. Jason Robertson and Dallas also streaming. And then the Carolina game on the 23rd, all on streaming. I guess you could say down the stretch, you don't have to worry about streaming. So there you go. Why 12 games? Four names. Jack, Nico, Hughes, Heischer. Not in that exact order. The fact of the matter is they are stars national television wants to highlight these players, and hopefully the Devils are a better hockey team to help justify these decisions. Still a little weird to me that all the Detroit games are on national television. Minnesota makes sense to me. Philly's a rivalry game. Edmonton, San Jose, Toronto, Dallas, they're Western Coast matchups, but they should be at least interesting matchups to watch. One of the Carolina games, I can totally understand that within the division. The fact of the matter, the one benefit, the one thing I really like about this schedule here is that the majority of these games are home games. So if you're like me and you go to home games, you will not be missing out too much if you struggle with streaming. All the streaming games are home games. Only 2 games that I counted, and I hope I didn't miscount them. Yep, I did not miscount them. Only 2 games are road games. So again, if you're out of the market, you don't go to Devils games, yep, you're going to have to pony up for ESPN Plus or keep up Disney Plus and Hulu. And yes, you're going to need to have access to ESPN and TNT to get all your Devils games beyond the local broadcast through MSG. So now the Minnesota situation, this is tangential to the Minnesota situation. This is relevant, but not directly. Cale Makar got paid. Over $163 million. The most expensive contract in the history of the NHL was announced hours ago. Does he deserve it? Absolutely he deserves it. 2-time Norris Trophy winner, 4-time Norris Trophy finalist. He's played 7 seasons per Hockey Reference. He's only had 1 season where he wasn't a finalist or a winner of the Norris Trophy for best defenseman in the league. That was his rookie season where he came 9th in Norris Trophy voting. And oh yeah, he won the Calder. The fact of the matter is, this guy is legitimately the best defenseman in the world. Too bad his biggest moment for many people is getting olayed by Jack Hughes. Let's play a clip. NBC Sports on YouTube. Show this. Jack Hughes wins a puck. Look at Jack Hughes doing the hard work behind the net to win the puck in overtime away from Connor McDavid. Gets it off to Zach Werenski. Little give and go to get away from 97. Here's Cale Makar, the new richest man in the NHL. $20.4 million on the books for Colorado for the next 8 seasons. Ole! He gets sunned. He gets torched. Werenski, hero play to win the puck away from McKinnon, Makar's teammate. And of course, you know I had to finish it. You know you needed the finish from the big deal. You know you needed the golden goal. You know you needed American hockey heroism. Look, all due respect to Mr. Makar and the Avalanche fan. He really is the best defenseman in the world. He is. He is basically Scott Niedermayer of his generation. And maybe better than Niedermayer. With the way he dominates shifts with the puck, without the puck, how he drives play forward. He is he's not like an Erik Karlsson where he's just a fourth forward most of the time. He is a guy who comes back and does it all. So congratulations to him. So this sets the market for Quinn Hughes. One of the arguments or laments or coping mechanisms of Wild fans and Michael Russo of The Athletic, a New York Times company, many of their suggestions was, well, Quinn Hughes hasn't been signed yet because Cale Makar hasn't signed yet. Well, Cale Makar has been signed. And he got the biggest contract in the history of the NHL. Right now, we'll see if somebody else tops that in the near future, and it may be before next year's free agency period that gets beaten. We'll see. I don't have off the top of my head who else is up for a new contract, but Quinn Hughes is. This sets the market. Is Cale Makar better than Quinn Hughes in terms of career accolades? Absolutely. I mean, Quinn Hughes has a Norris Trophy winner. I mean, he's won a Norris Trophy. He's been a finalist for the Norris, but not to the extent of Cale Makar, where every season since his rookie season, he's been considered one of the top 3 defensemen in the league by the people who vote for the Norris Trophy. But Quinn Hughes, in terms of talent, in terms of how he plays, in terms of how he can change a game, how he can control a shift with his puck handling, and how he views the game off the puck, Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes are very similar in that regard. So what this means is that if Minnesota really wants to lock up Quinn Hughes to an extension, the number is going to be very high. It may not be 20.4. It might have to go above that if one, if that's possible. I'm actually blanking on whether or not that's the maximum cap hit a player can get under the upcoming cap. And two, whether or not keeping him around, whether it's for 1 season, 3 seasons, 8 seasons, whether or not you're going to need to pay him more. I mean, the argument could be made there. The argument to me is that Quinn Hughes should be expected around 18, 19 million per season. Now, it's August 28th. Quinn Hughes hasn't signed an extension. Minnesota's owner was adamant that he would be re-signed. A lot of people were confident it was going to happen, and then all of a sudden negotiations haven't happened yet. Oh, weird. You would think they would lock this up if the owner's going to the press saying it's going to happen. Oh, negotiations may be happening, but they're not going as well as we think. Ah, well, weird. Concerning. The longer this is going without an extension, the better the prospects of him becoming a New Jersey Devil sooner rather than later. The hope is still there that Quinn Hughes is going to keep saying, I want to play with Jack and Luke. I want to play with my brothers. If I can't be a winner in Minnesota, let me be with my family. Let me transform the New Jersey Devils, because Quinn Hughes would absolutely transform the Devils on the blue line, given that Luke Hughes has yet to take that big step forward. I hope that's coming regardless. And Dougie Hamilton is getting older, and he doesn't have the speed to begin with. Quinn Hughes would absolutely level up the Devils in a big, big way, similar to how Quinn Hughes leveled up the Wild when Bill Guerin acquired him during last season. So the big concern is, I believe, September 13th. That's the last day he can get an extension for 8 seasons with Minnesota. Minnesota could still extend him for 7 afterwards, but 7 is not 8. That's 1 less season on the books. And so if Quinn is stuck to family here, this is going to get a little bit more dramatic and a little bit more challenging. And Bill Guerin may have to realize what Jim Rutherford realized in Vancouver, is to say he wants to play with his brothers. You might as well just cut your losses and trade him for what you can get for him and move on. That being said, if the Devils do end up getting him through a trade, or do end up having the chance to sign him, it's going to be very expensive. It's going to be huge. It's not going to be $9 million a season like Luke Hughes. It's going to be maybe double that. And thanks to Cale Makar, we got to prepare for that. So, Cale Makar, congratulations. You've got generational wealth beyond generational wealth earned. Go do your thing, but please take the night off when you play the Devils. Anyway, that's not the other big news around the league this week is Connor Hellebuyck. He took to the internet. He took to social media and announced that he has asked Winnipeg for a trade months ago, and now he is publicly reminding everybody that he still wants to trade out of Winnipeg. And the Winnipeg Jets, on social media, said, we're going to respect our rights and, we're going to take care of this. But all things are still the same here. Connor Hellebuyck wants out of Winnipeg. I don't blame him. Here's the thing about Connor Hellebuyck. He legitimately is a big name goaltender. He's not just the hero of America in that gold medal game. He was the main reason why they were in that game, much less why they won that game. Fantastic. But he wasn't just a guy who just had one great game. The man has 3 Vezina trophies. He won them back-to-back in 2023 and 24, and 24-25 with the Jets. His first one, obviously, was also with the Jets. The man has been fantastic with the Jets. Only 1 season with an overall save percentage below 90.7, and that 90.7 was his second season with the Jets. The season below 90.7, unfortunately, was this past season with the Jets. It was a rough season for Hellebuyck. It was a rough season for Winnipeg. And I think that maybe that, combined with the fact that he has tasted the glory of winning something of value, that has convinced Mr. Hellebuyck to say, hey, I want out of the Jets. I want to move on. And it's hard to argue otherwise. He's done his job. Yes, he got the big contract, but 3 Vezinas, great numbers in the net. Last season was the only bad one. It's not really his fault. Anyway, that contract, however, is a big sticking point. He's a big money goalie. $8.5 million on the cap through 2030-31. That means, yes, he's got another 4 seasons left getting that cap hit. That contract is all salary, by the way. Yes, there's some fluctuations in salary. I think next season he's getting $10 million, and the season after that he's getting $7 million. I may have that backwards. The point is that there's no bonus coverage here. There's no bonus payout. There's no July 1st big check goes to Connor Hellebuyck. No. his contract is all salary. And he has a 10-team trade list, that's an accepted trade list, that begins in 27-28. So the Jets per contract, maybe we're thinking, okay, maybe Hellebuyck wants to move on by then, but clearly things fell apart a little faster than they expected. Last season didn't go well for the team. It didn't go well for the goaltender. The relationship is not in a good place. He wants to move on. And as much as the Jets could, dig in their heels and say, nope, we're going to keep him. He's under contract. Deal with it, Connor. The fact he went to social media to remind everybody that he's asked for this trade, it's not just a rumor. It's clear that I think they got to move on. So this begs one question for the Jersey Overtime. Should the Devils want Connor Hellebuyck? Well, let's look at some numbers. Connor Hellebuyck is good, very good, excellent, except for last season. So I went to Natural Stat Trick, that's NST there, and I looked at his 5-on-5 and penalty kill numbers at Natural Stat Trick. Now, no disrespect to 4-on-4 play or overtime play or even shootouts, but generally when I'm thinking about goaltending play, big money goaltending play, big game hunting, to use a Tom Fitzgerald term with respect to how we acquired Jacob Markstrom, you got to focus on these two areas because this is where you need your goaltender to be fantastic. If you're going to spend this much money on a goaltender and if he deserves the reputation, is he getting it done when you're down a man? And are you getting it done at 5-on-5, the most common situation in ice hockey? Well, 3 seasons ago, yeah, okay, the penalty kill numbers were kind of mid, not that great to be honest. But 5-on-5, he was arguably one of the best goaltenders, if not the best goaltender in the entire league. He played a ton. 93.5 save percentage at 5-on-5 is utterly fantastic. High danger save percentage of nearly 85% is also great. He saved over 30 goals than expected. He won the Vezina that season. Why? Look at the green numbers. That's why. 2 seasons ago, played even more. Was even better somehow. Better save percentage at 5-on-5 by a hair. Better high danger save percentage. Saved even more goals above expected. Of course he won the Vezina again. Even his penalty kill high danger save percentage was great. Even his save percentage on the penalty kill was on the upper end. Out of the ranks here, it's at a 51 for the penalty kill, 64 for 5-on-5 that season. And the guys in the upper echelon, if not in the top 10 outright. Like, Hellebuyck utterly deserved his Vezina claim in 24-25. You could argue other goaltenders, but honestly, Hellebuyck got the goods here. Last season was not so good for Hellebuyck. He played a ton again, and I forgot to highlight that in green. Apologies. But the save percentage at 5-on-5 was mid. He ranked tied for 30th out of 70 goaltenders in the population I pulled. High danger save percentage, just under 82%, tied for 33rd. His goals saved above average. That's what GSAA stands for. Goals saved above average. So that's contingent on the population you look at NST. That does change depending on how many goaltenders show up in the stats when you look them up. He came up in 26. He's positive. He's nearly 3 goals above average saved, but that's not $8.5 million worth of goaltending. That's not Vezina level goaltending. That's not big name goaltending. The penalty kill numbers, again, meh, mediocre, not horrible, not Jacob Markstrom-like, but not good. So this season right here is the reason I think why Winnipeg's trying to cut bait here. And this worries me a little bit here because Connor Hellebuyck is 33 years old. There's a legitimate question that this past season, these numbers, this is going to be more like what you're going to expect out of Mr. Hellebuyck going forward as he's getting older. Hellebuyck does, he's not Martin Brodeur. He's not Marty Turco. He's not from the age of goaltenders where goaltenders would play 70 games. But Hellebuyck does play a lot relative to his peers. He plays consistently 60 to 65 games. So there is a question about mileage on the body here, right? And he's played at such a high level. You could argue that maybe he'll have a bounce back season, put him on a different team with a better defense. He'll perform better. I can believe that. But again, you're paying him to be a top tier goaltender. Is he going to suddenly bounce back to be a top tier goaltender in this league as he gets older? That's a concern. Now, that's a point against wanting Connor Hellebuyck to be in New Jersey. one point in favor is the fact that those numbers, even last season's numbers, they're better than Jake Allen, it's better than David Rittich, and it's certainly better than Nico Dawes. Those three goaltenders are the current goaltenders of the New Jersey Devils. Connor Hellebuyck is better than them. Even with a down season, he's better than them. And so, just by simple logic, is this player better than what you have? Yes? Well, that's a point in the favor of wanting him. And, as I mentioned, he could bounce back. That 25-26 season was his worst statistical season in the NHL. That's that one season where he had an overall save percentage below 90.7. Outside of that, it's been consistently above 91%, which is great. Now, another point in favor, and it's not as apparent, but the contract. Now, the contract is big, and that's actually a point against, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. But the benefit is the fact that it's locked in. It's a known quantity. Connor Hellebuyck is getting an 8.5 accrued average value until 2030-31. That number is set. That's a known number you can work around. That number is not going to go down. As the cap goes up, that's going to take up less space percentage-wise of your overall cap. So, we just learned that Cale Makar is a $20.4 million player. Quinn Hughes could easily become an $18 and $19 million player. Other goaltenders, they're going to start seeing big numbers if you're having numbers like a Hellebuyck or an Igor Shesterkin or an Andrei Vasilevsky. The next goaltender to break out is going to get paid much, much, much more than 8.5 per season. So Hellebuyck being at 8.5, in a sense, if he performs to that level or better than that, hey, you get value. That's in favor. Now, going back to why that's a double-edged sword, in my opinion, is the fact that is $8.5 million worth the improvement? That money does count to the cap. The cap just does not go away because it's, the cap as a whole goes up. You still have $8.5 million on the books. The Devils trio, that current tandem, should the Devils go with those three-headed monster of Allen, Rittich, and Dawes, that's less than half of what Connor Hellebuyck is making on the books. It's $3.9 million. The question I have to ask, and it's a very valid one, is that if you bring in Hellebuyck, and if you ignore the other cap issues that would bring in, is Hellebuyck that much better than those three to be worth the extra cost? I will agree that he's a better goaltender than all three. I will agree that he will likely have a good season this coming season because the pedigree is there, and he's, not that old at 33. Like, I do think there's a legitimate aging concern that you do have to at least ask the question. But if you do your due diligence, you do your scouting, you talk to people, you talk to your goaltending head of excellence, or whatever we're calling Lou Luongo here, and you say, hey, is it a case of he just had a bad season, or is he starting to guess a little bit more? Is the reaction time going lower? Is he just struggling a little bit more often and he's having great moments as opposed to great runs? If the answer is no, it's just the off season on a not so good Winnipeg team, then okay. But again, is that improvement is that improvement going to be worth it in value? And to that end, is that improvement also going to be worth denying your other potential moves? I still think the Devils are trying to keep their Quinn Hughes option open. If he can't get that extension in Minnesota, you got to try to trade for him. You got to try to make a deal. You got to have the money available for Quinn Hughes. And I will be the first to tell you that if you're asking me who would help the Devils out more, it's Quinn Hughes. The harsh reality is that we just saw the Carolina Hurricanes win a Stanley Cup with their third-string goaltender. Okay, or maybe their second string, depending on how you feel about Pyotr Kochetkov. The point is that the days of spending tons of money on a goaltender to carry you through to greatness, those days have been numbered. And Hellebuyck, in a sense, is the last of that, of his generation. He's the exception to that. Shesterkin is an exception. Vasilevsky, Sorokin, Bobrovsky was an exception to that. The point is that if you bring in Hellebuyck, you almost are gating yourself out of getting Quinn Hughes or getting some other big player that could help you out. And right now, what the Devils need today, and even long term, is getting a generational defenseman will help them a whole lot more than a really good goaltender. If the Devils just get decent goaltending out of Jake Allen, David Rittich, and Nico Daws, the offense should be more than enough to get the Devils to wins. What really sunk the Devils last season wasn't that Jacob Markstrom and Jake Allen weren't big enough names. It's because Jacob Markstrom was awful. He was terrible. He was a train wreck in the net. Jake Allen was okay for the most part, but he did have some rough nights. But the fact of the matter is that the Devils were sunk by bad goaltending. If they can get average goaltending from these three on the cheap, save your money and get yourself a better defenseman to really transform a blue line to be much more than just 2 guys with offense and 4 guys who can play defense. Do yourself a favor and get that top 6 winger to really elevate the offense and give other teams nightmares when they have to try to match up between Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier or potentially a third scoring line. That has more value to me than Connor Hellebuyck. So my personal opinion is I don't think the Devils should go after Connor Hellebuyck. If Sonny Meadow wants to kick the tires on him, if he wants to inquire, if he wants to just, feel out the process and say, hey, how much would it take to get Connor Hellebuyck? Sure, go for it. There's an argument to be made that Connor Hellebuyck will help the Devils. There is. But personally, I don't think taking on the contract is going to be worth it. I don't think his improvement that he would bring, which would be an improvement, is going to make it worth all the additional money it's going to take, the additional cap space for the future it's going to take up, and the reality that, in a couple seasons, we may be talking about Connor Hellebuyck the same way we're talking about Jacob Markstrom, where the man just struggled because he was definitely guessing a lot more. He was trying to rely on reflexes that weren't there. His reads weren't very good. His positioning was starting to go off. And as such, he didn't have a good season. And it's a minor miracle Sonny Meadow traded him for anything. So personally, I can understand if the people who matter, want Connor Hellebuyck. I don't think they should do it. I don't think they should make that trade. We'll see if I'm wrong. Anyway, now, normally this is the part where I close out the stream and highlight different sources and some recommended sites to read. Again, All About the Jersey. I did go back to All About the Jersey to check out my own writing about the theme nights and the giveaways I wrote about in the past. Thank you to Past Me for having that data to say, yeah, the Devils have had about 16 theme nights in the past. They fluctuate from season to season, but nothing really outrageous. It's just that the theme nights weren't, not very exciting, not very... Not getting anybody super, interested or excited. Just going, okay, here they are again. The Devils official website, that's where I got the theme night information to begin with. Obviously, their account on X as well. X, the everything app. Hockey Reference, that's where I looked up briefly Cale Makar's astonishing accolades. All the Norris trophies and Norris Trophy finalist appearances. Cale Makar really is that good. Puckpedia to confirm Connor Hellebuyck's contract that I briefly looked at. Natural Stat Trick, obviously for the Connor Hellebuyck stats. And lastly, I want to recommend something I saw earlier today. Credit to Base Victimized on X, the everything app, highlighting an Instagram post from Big Mike himself, Mikhail Yegorov. Now, for the uninitiated, Mikhail Yegorov, prospective goaltender in college. He's somebody who was playing for a really bad Omaha team when he got drafted, went to college and demonstrated that the guy's got skill. He was just on a really bad Omaha team in the U. So he took to Instagram and made a big post about how he announced his very own stats site. And it's called Yegorov Stats. And you know what? We're going to take a look at that right now. So humor me for a hot minute here. I give you Yegorov Stats. It's a website about all the goaltending statistics of one player, Mikhail Yegorov. And he announced that he put this together himself. And this is a really slick looking website. It's so far, as far as I can tell, this is just for 26-27, but it's a very clean layout. The simple stuff tells you upfront he played 35 games. He won 51% of them. He faced 954 shots. General stats, 90.4 save percentage overall. GSAX, which is goal saved above expected. So he's saying he did better than expected. He highlighted some graphs that really show how to go from game to game. So save versus expected. Clearly the expected model felt he should have, he beat his own model. So credit to him. Save percentage distribution. He had some great games and some not so great games, but it gives you an actual quantity to say how often this happened. Goals by grade. I'll touch on the grades in a moment here. Situational splits, actual versus expected. You even get rebound control, glove performance, playmaking. This is stuff that this is one of those things that you see, I see, we can talk about, but now we have some numbers put behind it. And this is just the simple stuff. The detailed stuff really breaks it down in terms of the grades of chances. That's what the A+, the A, the B, and the C stand for. We got shot difference stats between home and high shot, splits between home and away. We got shot blocks and misses, PK versus power play, shots by grade, distribution of shots in a game, rebounds that he's counting, glove saves that he's counting, all these different distributions, performances, back-to-backs. Like, this is a treasure trove of information about a goaltender. You even got a game log. You got period by period breakdown. So if you were ever concerned about Mikhail Yegorov in the second period, don't be, or do be, the information is here. You got incremental stats even, where you have a different breakdown. So you can change this by, say, his first 7 games. Or his first, 10 games, I should say. There we go. 5-game windows. I should probably do more than just 5, more than 7 games. The point is that you can see trending in real time. And the About page really explains a lot of this and really shows what he's thinking. So grade A+ is highest danger. Grade A is just high danger. Grade B is medium danger. Grade C is low danger. Now, what do the dangers mean here? That would be, I think, the next step for this website to explain what does he mean by danger. But he has examples of what does he mean by rebounds. Well, it's the quality of his rebound control, which is something goaltenders absolutely work on. Green counts whether or not he controlled the rebound. Red indicates when he didn't. And black is when there isn't a rebound or he manages to freeze the puck. That's impressive information to have. Same for the glove. You got clean catches, reds, which includes goal plus bad rebound will be fixed later. Credit to Mikhail. Mike's not afraid to say this is a work in progress. Life is a work in progress. Credit to him. Or it's a freeze. Playmaking is about puck distribution after saves, which is another thing goaltenders absolutely work on. So he's counting whether or not he's making good passes. He's giving it away indirectly or otherwise, or if he's just freezing it. Like, this is fantastic information. And yeah, there's a lot more to be fleshed out here. I would love to know what he considers danger. And I would love to know what expected goal model he's using for this expected save percentage. Whether or not he's using some other information. But you can see up here, this is a personal statistics dashboard. This is the future, my friends. A player, a prospective player, a player with something to prove is saying, yeah, here's a website where you can see how I'm doing, good, bad, ugly, and otherwise. And it's detailed information for a position that definitely needs more detail. I love the fact there's a breakdown for glove saves. I love that there's rebounds. And it's not just, how many rebounds did he give up? No, he's breaking it down to say, yeah, this is how many good ones I had, and this is how many ones that weren't so good. That's really good to know. That's really, really good. Now, he says data is entered manually. I know there were complaints or criticisms that this may have been an AI-made website or an AI-made, module. And I say, so what? Like, do we sit there and complain that, does it matter that Brad T at Natural Stat Trick coded his own scraper of NHL data and wrote the equations himself? I guess you might find that valuable. I don't think it matters as long as the data's accurate and it's telling something about the player. That's all we need to know. We don't need to know how the sausage is made necessarily. But full credit to Mikhail Yegorov for being very brave here, because if the man has a run of bad games, it will show. People will have evidence. They will be able to go back and go, yep, you had a really bad night. You weren't very good against UNH. You gave up more goals than expected. You didn't have a good game. How dare you, sir? You ruined things for us at BU. I wouldn't be shocked if things go poorly and people pick on him for this. Someone at BU or someone at the Devils may say, hey, Mike, maybe you want to make this private. But the fact that he even did this and announced it shows a lot of courage, and it shows more power from the players. That's the new theme that the hockey media is now complaining. Oh, the players are, They're demanding trades. They want to control their destiny. They want to get paid. They're having podcasts. And now with Mikhail Yegorov, they're making websites of their own stats. I know, all this power. It's like the hockey players are people with, different expectations and different value things that they value. Yegorov clearly values statistical analysis of his own work. He wants to show how he's performing beyond just a simple save percentage. Full credit to Yegorov. Please keep this up, Big Mike. Please keep this accurate. Flesh it out. Set a model. And before you know it, Big Mike, other goaltenders might do exactly what you're doing. Or they may come to you and say, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do this for my program? You might have a career outside of hockey in case this whole goaltending thing doesn't work out. Personally, I hope the goaltending thing does work out because, what's better than being a professional hockey player? It's definitely more interesting than statistical analysis. That much I can tell you. That being said, credit to Yegorov, and again, credit to Base Victimized on X for really highlighting this. This is super cool. YegorovStats.com, bookmark it. I'd love to see how it progresses going into the next season. And we'll see if Mikhail is also able to get past seasons from BU. Maybe if he can get him from the USHL somehow, that would be wonderful. I mean, this is really, really cool stuff. In any case, let's transition back. Yes. Okay, so once again, that's my big recommended read. So for the next stream, we'll be in September. We'll talk more about potentially what the Devils are doing, if they do anything. Had a training camp. I'm sure PTOs are going to get announced very soon. Hockey is coming back sooner rather than later. So get your parties in, get your discussions done, start getting prepared for the upcoming season. Check your tickets, check your calendars, break it all out because the season is coming. And when it goes, it's going to be an experience for all to watch. Anyway, this is John Fisher of the Jersey Overtime. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, tell people about it, criticize it, whatever you want. Thank you for watching. Have yourself a good day.